So I was going to do a YouTube short about this, but there's too much to say. It can't be under a minute. So this morning, I saw online a friend of mine. She says, TFW, when you like your first verse so much that you're afraid to write the other ones and possibly screw up the song. And she has been, like, she's a professor at Wellesley College. She's been to Oberlin. She's been to Harvard. Like, this lady knows how to write. But this is so common and so deep, especially in our culture. I don't know why we don't know how to play. So my response was, write 15 more verses. Write a really bad one. Like, write the worst verse you can. Write one in the wrong time. Write one in a minor key if it's in a major key. Like, just keep writing until your editor gets mad and walks away. And then you can have fun writing 23 more verses without her looking over your shoulder. She's going to come in handy later. You will need the editor later when you've written a lot of stuff that you can look through and pull the best things from. Then you can do it. But if you're trained, like so many of us are trained in an academic environment, in a corporate environment, and there's not a lot of creative space there, right? But the thing to remember is that there's no peer review process for sandcastles, right? Like if a kid wants to make a sandcastle, a kid would never say, wow, this sandcastle is so great, I'm afraid to make another one and mess it up. Like, there's no way. A kid would never say that. They just keep making sandcastles, and then the waves come in and knock them down. Like, ah, ha, ha. That's so cool to see my sandcastle destroyed. Like, that's part of the process, is seeing it destroyed, right? But even when you see super professional people in really intense, high-pressure situations, like astronauts. Have you ever watched an astronaut spacewalk? They often have a sense of play. They're like, what happens if I do this? And my body spins, and what happens if I push off with a, and they're just out there playing, even though they have a little bit of work to do. They have a creative mindset because it's important. That's how they learn how the thing works. And they have to try things. And they're like, oh, that worked or that didn't work, so I won't do that again. But I can use this to my advantage in this way, right? And it pays off. And I'm so sorry that a lot of people who come to me as songwriting students, they have been trained in an academic world, in a corporate world, or even in the military. Although it's kind of funny, I find that people who were trained in the military tend to care less about those things. Maybe because the situation, the pressure is so high that they are forced to get creative. I had to get creative in the military. I was in the Navy for 4 years. I don't know. I just know, write 30 more verses. Just keep writing. Like, you're not going to run out of ink. There are more pens at CVS. There is more paper. They make these big fat notebooks. You're sitting at the bar. There's a stack of cocktail napkins like that deep. Just keep grabbing them and writing stuff. And it's actually a good routine to get into, to say, I'm going to write, 5 different versions of this chorus. How can I change it? How can I make it different? To push yourself to make it different, even when you've written the one that you like. There's one that really moves you. You're like, oh, that's so good. I don't know. Maybe I can make it better. Maybe I can make it worse. Maybe I can make it funnier or sadder or whatever. And just keep trying things until you prove to yourself that you actually did it. Or you beat it. Maybe you beat it. And especially in this case where she's written her first verse and she really loves it, and now she's afraid that she's going to let everybody down when she gets to the second verse. Oh, that first verse was pretty good, but this is lame. She didn't rhyme correctly. Who thinks that way when they're listening to songs? I don't know. But we think that way in our heads about what we're creating. Like, we're going to have to go before the committee with our song, But before you go before the committee with your song, write a bunch of garbage. Just write a bunch of things that rhyme that don't make sense. Write things that make sense that don't rhyme. I do that a lot. I'll set aside the scansion and the rhyme, and I'll just say, what's the idea that I want to convey in this verse? Well, in the first verse, they fell in love. So in the second verse, let's have a little struggle. Or in the second verse, they run off to Reno or whatever. What's the next thing that happens? And just write it down, not think it in your head, because when you think it in your head, that's not writing, that's thinking it in your head. Only writing is writing, this way or this way. And this is also one of the ways, I did a video about 5 ways to tap into your subconscious. One of the ways to tap into your subconscious mind is physical movement. Whether you go for a walk or even moving the pen. I've heard writers say all the time that their hand wrote something that their mind didn't know. Like something, I'm paraphrasing, but something like that. Like you write something and it surprises you. And it's because your subconscious mind has gotten involved. You don't think about how to form an S anymore, how to dot an I. You don't think about that. Your subconscious mind has control of that part. So your subconscious mind gets engaged with your physical actions, whether you're doing this or you're doing this. And if you went to Harvard and Oberlin, you teach at Wellesley, I'm sure you know how to type really well. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's all subconscious. But you have woken up your subconscious mind, and it will start giving you things that are not in your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is like ham or turkey for lunch. That's all that's happening in your conscious mind at one time. Meanwhile, your subconscious is running the whole show. It's so powerful. It's 99% more of what is happening in your brain. And if you get yourself moving and write things down, write lots of garbage, just keep your physical body moving this way or this way and documenting all this stuff, then you can come back later with your rational mind that's saying ham or turkey. In this verse, do we want ham or turkey in this verse? That's when your rational mind is useful, is when you've already generated a lot of content, you've written down your ideas, and now your rational mind, your editor, a lot of people call it, your editor can come back and say, ooh, we need a rhyme here. Or, you know what, this rhyme is really lame. Maybe if I flip these 2 lines and I put the cliche rhyme first, then when that next rhyme comes, it'll feel more unique. It'll feel more surprising, right? Your editor can think about things in little chunks like that. Your editor can really focus in on small details where there's only a couple of decisions to be made. So there was this research done. It was marketing research about subconscious and conscious mind, or intuition and rationality, or whatever you want to call it. And what they discovered was that when there was more than just 2 or 3 variables to deal with in a decision-making process, that people not only made the decision with their intuition, with their feelings, with their subconscious, but they actually made better decisions with their subconscious or with their intuition or with their feelings than they could with their conscious mind, because their consciousness could only hold a very small number of variables. So things that are very complicated, like what school is my child going to go to? You can rationalize a lot of things about that. You can interview the teachers. You can ask other parents about the schools, those kinds of things. But in the end, it's probably a decision that you made with your feelings, which means that your subconscious mind has taken all this information and weighed it and played with it and pushed that information against other information and made the best decision it can with a great number of variables, a number of variables that you could never possibly hold in your conscious mind at once. And that is also how writing works. And not just writing a novel, which is a huge undertaking, but even writing a song. There can be so many variables to think about that you're best off just get your bucket and your shovel, go out on the beach and make a sandcastle. Make another sandcastle, make another sandcastle, make another sandcastle, watch the waves come in and tear them down. Just keep making sandcastles, keep writing verses, write 20 more verses, write 30 more verses, write the stupidest verse you can think of, laugh at yourself. Put the verse on social media so other people can laugh at it. Call your friend and be, oh my God, you never believe this stupid thing that I wrote. Have fun with it. There's no peer review requirement for art. It's your art. Don't let your editor tell you what to do when you're writing. Editing is very important. You know what? I'll talk to you later. Okay? Go make me a cup of coffee and come back later, right? That's what you need to do with your editor, okay? Thanks so much to my friend for posting that question this morning. I'm sorry if this is long-winded, but I hope it inspires you to forget about how good you need to be when you write the next thing. You don't have to be good at all. Be terrible. Just do like whatever. Put on some weird clothes and a funny hat and sit down and write a bunch of silly verses and just get it out. Just get the pen moving, get the fingers moving. Come back later and think about what you might need to construct the next part of the song. Out of this content that you've created, you will be surprised. You'll be in the middle of trying to be silly, of trying to do something dumb, and you will cry because you have suddenly created the most amazing thing that has to go in the song. It's going to happen. It happens to me every time. Every time I'm able to let go and just do something dumb. And it's not even about letting go. It's about moving forward, but moving forward with a different attitude, right? Create content and don't worry about how good the content is. Create the content because it's fun to create the content. Because it's going to be fun when your editor comes back later and goes, "Ooh, that's really cool. I love this rhyme. Oh, that's dumb. Oh my God. That's so funny that I wrote that." Burn it. Who cares? All right? I love you all so much. If you want to follow me in my own songwriting journey and support this journey to create social media material and paid online songwriting workshops and paid one-time payment courses, I'm creating a whole new business model so that I can reach learners of all budgets and abilities. Support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Jonathan Byrd Music, just like my Facebook tag, just like my YouTube tag, Jonathan Byrd Music on Patreon. I'll put the link in the description. Follow me, support me. As little as $5 a month, you'll get stuff like this, and you'll also get to watch me just throwing caution to the wind and writing stupid things so that I can find the thing that is going to be great. And I do it right in front of you on Patreon. I film myself writing, and I post every dumb thing that I say. And you'll watch me discover great things by doing what I'm talking about right now. All right? Be brave, have fun, and don't forget to write. Patreon.com/Jonathan Byrd Music. Love y'all. Bye-bye.